Hey everyone, it's Hanso and Trevon here with Bandit today. We're going to show you how to assemble your new, beautiful Bandit X-Shore Pro. Well, to start, what you want to do is obviously cut the box open. Get your box cutter. You want to open the side up this way, cut all across a big square. So that way you can pull out the bike easily with no hassle. Here we've got some pliers, nothing special, just some regular pliers. So that way you can snap through the zip ties pretty easily. Cutting zip ties with scissors is doable, of course, but it can be a little tricky. It can take a little long. Pliers will make the process smooth, easy. Sometimes people cut cables in accident, so just be wary of that. Be careful. Yeah, just cut all the zip ties, take all the tape off, and get started. Obviously, the bike is pretty well wrapped. A lot of foam, a lot of tape, a lot of zip ties. So take your time. Make sure you don't cut anything or scratch anything on accident. You want to be careful. This should not take long. Here we have a 5mm Allen wrench. Pretty standard, nothing crazy. You can find these anywhere. Your bike also has a toolkit that goes with 3 different Allen wrench sizes. So 5mm is going to be the main one you're going to use on an e-bike for most brands. So keep those handy. They're really helpful. And we're just going to use this to unscrew the stem, this part of the stem, so that we can install the handlebar correctly. Here are the handlebars. You want to align those in the middle right there. Obviously, you'll see a big space for it. So it's pretty simple. You're going to hold it in the middle there. You may need a second person to help you real quick. I'm going to hold it right here with my finger so that Trevon can screw that all the way down. Obviously, there was 4 screws there, which means you want to put all 4 there. In the future, you can use the Allen wrench to loosen that if you want to push the handlebars forward or backwards, up to you, but obviously you want to go really tight here. You don't want to have any leeway whatsoever. What you see here hanging from the handlebars are the keys, 2 for each battery, 2 NFC tags, which, as most of you know, unlock the bike in case you don't want to input your 4-digit passcode. Now with the same size Allen wrench, what you want to do is go through the front suspension. It doesn't come loose or anything, but it's always good to check. You want to tighten these up. You'll see a total of 6 screws on the front fork. There's 1 here, and there's going to be 4 more at the bottom section. So 2 on this side and 2 right across.
And there you go.
This screw right here is so that you can attach the fender. So clean that up. We're going to remove these, and then we're going to remove the screw that you see there, so that way we can start mounting the fender. So here's the front wheel and the fender. Of course, you'll see that piece that's sticking out the fender. That's how you will mount it. So we're going to take that off. So remember, the front fender is supposed to be shorter in the front, or towards the front. So there we go. We're going to clamp that up. And the same screw we removed earlier, we're going to put it through there. For now, we're just going to, yeah, there we go. We're going to hand tighten it, but of course, that will get adjusted to make sure it's not loose. You do not want a loose fender. I repeat, you do not want a loose fender, because then it can rub on the front tire, and that's really annoying. So now to the front wheel, there's this plastic cap right there. So you make sure you pull that. Sometimes that might get stuck inside the plastic cap, but that's a nut that you definitely want to keep, right? As you can see, there's a washer in the back. You want to make sure the washer stays in the back. Only one washer. The other 2, push those up, just like that. What we're going to do is take this protector right here off the front suspension. You want to hold this side on the left, and then twist on the right side till it comes off. Just keep going. You can twist at the same time. You can just hold this one side, but yeah. Make sure it's loose. There we go. So after you're done, you should be able to just lift the front suspension. So now it's time to align the front wheel to the front fork. All right, you see this cable here? Well, this cable connects the front hub to the bike. You want to make sure this cable is on the right side if you're facing the tire. So I'm facing the tire, and that is on the right side right there. All right, cool. Now I'm gonna zoom in once again. Remember, this washer has to stay right in the back on both sides. And as you can see, there's a little lip at the bottom right here. That right there, I'm touching with my thumb. That piece must remain at the bottom at all times, all right, on both sides. Let me go to this side so I can show you as well. You can see right here at the bottom, and here's the washer. Now, if I zoom in closely, the brake pads have a yellow tab in between. I suggest using pliers once again for this part. Pull those out. There we go. Pretty easy. That's for the rotors to just slide right in between the brake pads, okay? So when it comes to lighting a wheel, it's not only about getting this inside the forks, it's also about aligning the rotor right in between the brake pads. And for that, like I said, you have to pull out the yellow tab with some pliers. Cool. For this right here, you might need two people, right? Trevon here is a pro, so he says he doesn't need me, and we'll show you right now. So I'm gonna hold the wheel for him real quick. Also make sure everything is loose. Yep. Again, the washer remains in the back. So he's gonna lift. Boom, just like that. This guy's a pro. It's a first try attempt right there. Again, you might be able to do this too. It's no big deal, but you know, for first timers, I suggest asking somebody to come help you out so everything can be aligned properly. Now we're gonna tighten this up. Same on this side. Sharon, are we doing this tight right now?
Hand tight for now until you get the tool and you're good.
Gotcha. So again, hand tight just for now to keep it in place, and then you're gonna get a wrench and obviously go to town, make sure it's fully tight. We have a size 19 wrench right there. So you're gonna use that to finish it up. Just keep wrenching ahead until it's tight. You want to make sure it's not loose at all. Please, make sure it's not loose. You'll see Trevon over here. Now onto the next side right here. Same thing, we're going to keep wrenching away till it's fully tight. This side you'll be wrenching the opposite way, as you can see right here. We're wrenching up instead of wrenching down. So now to the fender right here, we're going to push it a little, I would say halfway. So that way the front fender is not touching the front tire, obviously. So now Trevon is going to use a 5mm Allen wrench once again for the front screw, well, for the front of the screw rather, and then a 10mm regular wrench. So now I'll show you the side angle. We're going to use the 10mm wrench and hold the nut in place just like that while we go ahead and twist with the Allen wrench. So that way we can keep this tight. Now we're going to give it, we're not going to go super tight, like all the way down. We're going to go, I would say, about 85 to 90% down, because you want to be able to do minor adjustments to the fender from time to time. Maybe just, there we go, like that. Angle the fender a little better. Now look at this beauty right here. It's almost finished. We're almost done with the bike. So we installed the front wheel, which is perhaps the trickiest part. We're going to move on to the second trickiest part, which is going to be the headlight. But yeah, the bike is standing, looks beautiful. LFG. So for the headlight, each bike comes with this box as well, right? We're going to open this up. So there we have a manual. We're actually working on a new one, right? And then there's the headlight wrapped up. You'll see it. There we go. We also obviously have some pedals, which are marked that tell you left. They have one has an L for left, one has an R for right. This little bag here has screws and mounts for the headlights, so it's really important. Please don't lose that. The box also comes with a charger and a small toolkit, which has a couple Allen wrenches, etc., that you can use for small adjustments going forward. Now here's the headlight. So what you want to do, of course, is unwrap it. You'll see that it has some cool turn signals right there. One on the right, one on the left side. You can also see that there's 3 wires, right? And they are color coded. So you have a red, a purple, and a green. Those are going to connect to the wires on the bike, which we'll show you next. But yeah, red with red, green with green, and purple with purple, of course. In the small bag from earlier, you're going to find some foam-like shins, right? That will go between the bike and the mounts themselves, screws, nuts, some washers. Cool. As you can see, the mounts for the headlight right here are curved, and that's because these wrap around the fork right here, the front fork. So we're gonna show you how to do that. Make sure you do it above over here and not right above the fender. So we're gonna move those cables, slide the one on the right, and then hook the rest. There we go. So now what you want to do is grab the foam shim or the plastic shim and place it between the mount and the front fork itself, right? You will then, of course, do the same thing on the other side. We suggest this so that way you don't feel any rattling when you ride the bike. You want to make sure everything is tight on the fork. Now we're going to grab the back part of the mount, right? It's another metal piece that curves around the fork. Now this is a little tricky. We're going to do our best to show you right here. So you lock it around the back and then you put those together, right? You'll see. Grab one of the screws and you're going to make sure you hold these tight together right there with your fingers and put the screw right through both of those right there. Now hold the pieces together. Make sure you hold tight. You put the nut on it. Again, we're gonna do hand tight first, right? And then once that's stable and it's in the right position, then we're gonna use a proper tool. It's gonna be a number 2 or a 2mm Allen wrench, right? This is a little tricky. I'm not going to lie, but just hold them together and then just go ahead and screw it on. And that's what it looks like when it's fully on, at least with your hands. And again, we're gonna retouch this with a 2mm Allen wrench next. So now for the next side, it's gonna be the same exact process. We'll put the foam or plastic shin in between the mount and the fork. There we go. And then we're gonna grab the back part of the mount and do the same exact thing. So here we have the headlight on the bike. We have the turn signals on tight, right? Which is something that you make sure you want to do. And there we go. So now we're gonna connect these 3 cables. Remember, there's a red, a green, and a purple to the proper wires, which should be right here in the back. We're gonna put this baby slightly over the fork. The wires, you'll see an arrow right there, which tells you make sure that aligns with the arrow that you see under the connector, just like that. There we go. Boom. It's gonna be the same for all of them. Again, green and green, red and red, purple and purple. 2 little arrows right there. There we go. Lastly, purple. Same arrows right there. Boom, just like that. You've now installed the headlight and they're wired correctly. Pretty easy. Once again, this is a little tricky since the screws are not as long as some people may want, but we do that to ensure that this is on really tight. So there we go. So now back to this cable that I spoke about earlier in the video. You will see that it has a touch of red around it, right? It's pretty big, it's pretty thick. You're gonna connect this to this one right here. So insert that, boom, follow the arrows. You see the arrows are telling you where to go, and then just screw this all the way down. Cool. Again, this is what sends the power from the front hub to the computer of the bike, to the controller of the bike rather. So now we have the pedals. They're gonna be marked up. So right, you know which one's right, you know which one's left. Okay. All right, pass it to Trevon. We have a special bike shop tool right here, but it's just pretty much a size 15 pedal wrench. All right, nothing special. You're gonna have a size 15 pedal wrench inside the small toolkit. It's not gonna be as fancy as this one, but it will get the job done. You may wanna buy one of these or not, but it's not really needed. It's just, it makes the job a little quicker for us, so.
Just lubricate the tread a little bit.
There we go, here's the pedal. You also wanna make sure you get some grease to lube the threads. You don't wanna strip those out. That's the worst thing you can do to your pedals. Just put a little bit. Now you may not have this at home. We understand it's easier to find anywhere, Amazon for example. See, the details like these is what we suggest taking into a shop near you, because they should do all of these steps right here. So now the left pedal also looped up. Trevon is gonna go insert it. There we go. So hand tight for now, just so that it stays in place. But we always gonna retouch it with the proper tool. So don't forget, don't just hand tight it. You want to make sure you use the proper tools. Another important detail here is that the right pedal is opposite thread, of course. So you're gonna twist the other way instead of twisting clockwise. You're gonna go counterclockwise on the right side, as Trevon is doing right there. So sometimes you may receive a bike out of a box, right? And they're very not careful, which means the rotor right here can be misaligned. And by that, I mean they can be leaning to the right or leaning a little bit to the left. Hopefully you never get a warped rotor. That's a whole different issue. Anyways, we're gonna test this to make sure there's no rubbing. So we're gonna lift the front wheel. Just spin it. Nice and quiet. So we got lucky. There's no rubbing. But if there's some rubbing, we're gonna show you how to adjust the front rotor so it doesn't rub on your pads. That can also happen in the rear wheel, but it's a lot more common in the front wheel. So again, what causes rubbing on the brake pads or in the front wheel is the rotor not being perfectly aligned between the brake pads right here. So this clip right here, that are the brake pads right there. That's the brake pads. And you can see that right in between that, the rotor is perfectly aligned in between the pads. So rotor, pad to the left, pad to the right. Now this is the caliper, right? Now you're gonna have to be the judge to come and look and see whether the top part of the rotor or the bottom part of the rotor is leaning to one side or the other, right? Let's say it was the top part that you had to, that was rubbing against the pad. You would then unscrew this with a size 5 Allen wrench, just loosen it a little bit, and then toggle in between the caliper to make sure it's properly aligned. Same thing for the bottom. You're gonna have to find the screw that's gonna be underneath the caliper. It looks just like the one up top, right? Here it is. You have to loosen this one and then rock the caliper not too hard, but back and forth, so that way you can toggle and make sure the rotor is in the middle between the brake pads. Now we're pretty much done with the bike. That was quick. Obviously we have a pro here in Trevon, our technician, but I'm gonna go ahead and turn the bike on real quick to show you a couple details that you might have missed while assembling your bike. So every bike comes with a passcode of 0579. That's pretty standard. You can change that later on, but I'm just gonna bypass that by tapping the NFC tag. Now the bike is unlocked. You see that you have two different battery percentages, right? The top one's gonna be for the main one, which is here. Bottom one is obviously gonna be for the one in the back, right here. If you only see one bar on there, that means that the second battery is turned off, right? And for that, you wanna make sure you look right here. Underneath, at the bottom, there's a switch. So it's already on. What I'm gonna do right now is turn it off. boom, so it's being turned off. Now if you go to the display, it will take a few seconds for it to adjust. There we go. That means that you only have one battery turned on, or the second battery is dead. But in this case, obviously I turned it off. So if you want max range, max power, you go to the back of the bike, under the saddle, and you flip the switch to the line right here. And now that you see, again, it'll take a few seconds. Come on. There we go. Again, some people may be riding the bike right now with just one battery, and it's still fun. It's still a great time. But if you want to get max range, max power, make sure your secondary battery is on. Cool. Another detail that people forget, last detail I promise, is the following. Make sure you get an 8mm wrench. Peel this part of the brake off. Just pull, right? You may have to pull a little hard. And then what you want to do, you see how this is not all the way in? Well, that causes for the brake to leak. So what you want to do is just use this wrench and just adjust it. There we go. So what you want to do is just keep going till it's in. You'll see what it looks like. So what you want to do is stop right there. Once you start wrenching, you will get to the point where you can't wrench any further, and that's where you want to stop. You don't want to push it all the way because it can't really go all the way every time. So that should do. You guys enjoy the bikes. Please do this and be safe. We'll talk to you next time.